happy to welcome back Stillwater Critical Minerals, which trades on the OTCQB under the symbol PGEZF and on the TSXV under the symbol PGE. As the name suggests, they're focused on critical minerals exploration in the Stillwater Mining District in Montana. Their project hosts no less than 9 elements deemed critical by the federal government, including nickel, cobalt, and the PGEs. Just last week, they also announced an exciting collaboration with Berkeley Labs regarding potential for geologic hydrogen production at the project. Today, we're joined by CEO Michael Rowley, who will walk us through the story and the myriad of developments since our last chat. Welcome back, Michael.
Thank you, Anna. Glad to be back. As Anna said, we are very much focused on critical minerals in the U.S. We fancy ourselves the future of U.S. critical mineral supply. That was a forward-looking statement. I'm sure I'll be making additional forward-looking statements. This is very much an update session, so I invite you to watch the previous earlier presentations, which are more substantial, and also reach out to us on the web and by email, by phone. We are the largest nickel project in an active U.S. mining district. We've brought Glencore investment into that. They're now 15% of the company. We've also brought in some of the best and brightest minds from Ivanhoe's Platte Reef project in South Africa, and that explains the scope that we're onto here, the scale of what we have in Montana, and where this is ultimately going. That is a £1 billion, 95 million ounce project in South Africa, and we're bringing that same expertise to us, to our work in Montana in the U.S. It's the right time to be doing that. We are well positioned with world-class geology in the Stillwater Igneous Complex of southern Montana. We have 9 of the minerals that are listed as critical by the U.S. government, as Anna mentioned. Vision here is to become a primary U.S.-based source of low-carbon critical minerals. The U.S. government has told us 4 different branches now that is what they want to see, is a U.S. supply chain for this. That's also what Glencore wants to see. So we're lining things up well in that regard. Speaking of government money, we have engaged a lot of top expertise. I'm going to start with the U.S. Geological Survey. We've been engaged with them for about 7 years now. They've been studying the Stillwater complex, reaching back decades. They're the gateway to government money, and they write the critical minerals list. We have a technical committee with Glencore on it. That's been very productive, and it reflects their interest in the project. More recently, we've been announcing DOE grants for both carbon sequestration, carbon capture, and also last week, hydrogen production, which is a very new concept, geologic hydrogen production. It adds very nicely to the critical mineral potential of the project. It's additional value that we're happy to bring, and happy to answer questions of that in follow-up. Won't spend too much time here. The point is, and I think the next slide gets to that, we are well in front of the U.S. government now. I've met with all 4 federal politicians, myself from the state and the governor, numerous associations, chambers of commerce, et cetera, and we are actively in the government process. The USGS funded by the government. This lovely figure, I'll just back up for a second. This lovely figure shows the intricacies of working in the federal U.S. system for government funding for critical minerals. It's prepared by Cassidy and Associates. We've been in the system for some time via the Department of the Interior through the USGS. They've been funding technical work with us. More recently, we have announced several RPE grants under DOE. This is for carbon sequestration and hydrogen work. And we are pursuing through the Department of Defense bigger funding under IBAS and DPA as well, and invite to follow up on those points. The reason the government is interested is that the Stillwater package in Montana, Stillwater Igneous Complex, large and iconic district with a history of critical minerals production. Just on the left in this image, you can see the Mountain View mine, historic chrome mine, funded by the U.S. government, partly subsidies by the U.S. government during the 40s and 50s. When the U.S. needed chrome, this district is still the best in the U.S. for that. More recently, you see the mill across the hill from that, the Stillwater mill. That started in 1986 on the site of the old chrome mine and mill. It's currently run by Sibanye-Stillwater, and it's the highest grade palladium platinum mine in the world. Our deposits share the geology with Sibanye. You'll see that in the next slide. And they're located in the mountain down and left in this picture, along with our neighbors' mines. Together, we share a district with a $13 billion major mining company, Sibanye-Stillwater, and I can't say enough about the significance of that. It speaks to the potential of our company, Stillwater Critical Minerals. Our claims are in yellow, Sibanye's in gray. They're mining the JM Reef deposit, which is the skinny purple line cutting across the claim there. You're seeing the edges of a layered magmatic system. It's been tipped up by the mountains in Wyoming to the south. In fact, it's one of the biggest and best of its type in the world, and these are the highest grade palladium platinum mines in the world. The grade is staggering, and the size of it is staggering. They operate 3 mines, as shown here. They operate 2 concentrators and a refinery smelting complex off the screen. We now have 1.6 billion pounds of battery metals, 3.8 million ounces of precious metals on top of that. And it's basically following those South African mine models that we've brought in with the Ivanhoe expertise. It's well known in these districts, and it parallels what they found in the Bushveld igneous complex in South Africa. And again, I don't have time here to go into the details, but this is really not rocket science in the world of geology. We're simply the ones to apply it in the right place at the right time. Last point I'll make on this slide is that as we get out in our community effort, Sibanye's name is tremendous, and their good neighbor agreement is a precedent for the industry. This is a pro-mining district with terrific infrastructure and community support of resource industries, especially critical minerals. That 1.6 billion pound resource figure, this is an inventory of metals that we have in the ground. And the 3.8 million ounces of precious metals are broken out on this slide. We're nickel dominant. 47.5% of our value is nickel, and that is the primary interest here for both Glencore and the US government. They both told us to focus on the nickel. Cobalt also significant, and we have 91 million pounds that's not in the Congo. Again, that's very significant. Copper, many people have copper. We have 500 million pounds. The PGEs, the gold, they make a nice hedge. And the polymetallic nature of this is attractive because it means you're not beholden to any one commodity, and majors and big players like that. The final point I'll make about this is the size of the system that we're in. 1.6 billion pounds is just the beginning when you're talking about 61 square kilometers of claims and the size of the mines at Platreef that are aspirational targets. This is a big and well mineralized district with good optionality on grade and mine model that other companies can't offer. Board and technical depth is excellent. Most recently, we added Bradley Adamson to the board, and that's from Glencore. He is Vice President of Business Development from Glencore. And I can't say enough about the importance of having them on board supporting us. I'll let you do a deeper dive on the other resumes shown here. These are available on our website. So we've drilled 4 campaigns, put out 2 resources, increasing significantly in size. We've added Ivanhoe personnel and then Glencore personnel and investment. What's up next for us is a resource expansion that's expected in about 2 months or so. Further updates on government money, and then our work this year on the project as well on the ground. We are actively exploring at present metallurgical studies, and you'll see us start to wrap some PEA level feasibility level studies around this, as we do now have the size to start thinking of these things. Capital structure, and this is the value proposition, and the final slide as I approach 10 minutes here. The whole sector is beaten down, and the valuations are remarkably low. But if you look at gold price and the money coming back into mining, the rotation of capital that we've been waiting for is finally upon us. Quality juniors will lead the charge, and more than ever, we're convinced that we're among the good guys here. We're funded. We've got Glencore on board. We've got interest from government and many other players. We're moving nicely towards feasibility studies and being able to make mine plans. In addition, we've got a significant position in a gold company in Ontario that's earning into our project, the Black Lake Treatment Project, and that's Heritage Mining. As always, we are open for comments and emails. This is what I do more than full time, and I'd be glad to answer any questions you may have. Thank you.
All right, great job, Michael. We do have some questions. So when it comes to the quality of the metals, nickel, for example, can you discuss the markets? Is there a different market for higher quality minerals?
The nickel market is particularly, that could be a whole separate 10 minutes. It gets very geopolitical. Nickel is being flooded by cheap supply from China, and it's a different ore type that's very deleterious to process. It's much more carbon intensive. It's a laterite ore. Witness the fact that BHP just suspended operations at their giant Western Australia mines. This is China actively squeezing out Western players. And the current US government has recognized that with the IRA Act, and that is one of few things that is forcing industry to recognize geopolitics of nickel supply, and for that matter, the environmental footprint. The subsidies for friend-shored nickel are very significant in this regard. There are very few nickel projects in the pipeline, especially in the US. The US has one small producing nickel mine, and it's coming offline in a few years due to depletion. So that is why the government is so focused on this. That's a long answer. Did that answer the question?
Yes, it did. Talk about how much funding you'd be looking for and what that would look like.
Well, the channels that we're going into through the DoD can fund to the level of tens of millions. And they've been clear that they want to see a U.S. supply chain for particularly our nickel and our cobalt, also the other 7 elements that we have, but really the nickel, the cobalt. And they want to see it advancing towards production. So we're envisioning a multi-year, multi-tens of millions of dollars program that would fast track this project towards production. And from everything we've seen in the neighboring mine, in the community, in the bigger picture, that all seems possible.
All right. Well, Michael, thank you for this update. We'll send the rest of the questions to you so you can answer on your own. Exciting time to be in your industry. Thank you for coming back.
You bet. Thank you. Cheers.
All right, everyone. That's it for our conference. 2 days of this. What a great 2 days it's been. In just a second, you'll be redirected to the registration page for our next conference. So reserve your spot early. On behalf of all of us at Emerging Growth, thank you to all of our presenters and attendees for making this a success. Remember, a complete replay of this conference will be on our YouTube channel. Please subscribe, youtube.com/Emerging Growth Conference. And also follow us on Twitter at Emerging Growth C. I'm Anna Berry. On behalf of myself and our entire team, we'll see you again in September. Be well.